In this tutorial in DaVinci Resolve, we're going to show you how to add an outline, a blur, and a background to a basic Resolve title. We have a clip of the Golden Gate Bridge on track number 1, and we're going to add a title on track 2. So to do that, I go to my effects library in the upper left corner and click on that. And then under the toolbox, I move down to my title options. And then I choose the first segment of titles by enlarging that panel. And then I'm going to take the basic text and drag and drop it onto my video track number 2. Now I have my basic title. To do some more modifications, we're going to open up the inspector by moving to the upper right corner. And with the title highlighted, I have the inspector that will inspect my title. We're going to change the title here to Golden Gate Bridge, and then we'll change the font to make it a little more visible for this particular example. We're also going to go to bold, and we'll increase the size. And I'm also going to move it over to the right, I believe. Down and over a little bit. Okay, now we're going to look at some of the advanced ways in which you can take a basic title and enhance it. We're going to look at what's called outline or stroke, drop shadow, and background. So the first thing we're going to look at is stroke. The stroke comes with any kind of color you like from the color selector. Right now it's on red. I'll click on that and let's take a different color. Let's pick maybe something less bold, maybe something in a lighter color. Let's try a softened yellow and click on OK. Now I don't see it yet because I have no size. The size is set to 0, so I can either drag along the slider or I prefer to move the mouse over the numbers. I can slowly drag it. That gives me lots of control. And now we're going into this greenish yellow color for my background. If I say, well, you know, that's not going to work in this background very well, what I can do is simply go back and pick another color. I'll choose that one for now. So there is my stroke. I can also type in the value. So I have an outline. Let's do a drop shadow. Now I can turn all these features of drop shadow and background on or off. Even after they're set, it doesn't turn off the settings, it just makes them invisible. So let's do drop shadow first. There is no drop shadow that you can see because the X and Y offsets are set to 0. It's exactly behind the letters. If I start to move to the right, you notice I'm moving the shadow out from behind the letters to the right with my X offset to a positive value. If I take my Y offset and move to the left, I will move the shadow down. And so I might like something maybe like this, maybe a little bit tighter. And that's how I can change the shadow. We can change the color of the shadow. I'm going to leave it at black, but you can change the blur. If you go all the way to the right, it becomes very indistinct. All the way to the left, it's razor sharp. So that's how you can control the blur on the shadow. We'll move it back over to here. And you can control the opacity, which is different from the blur. All the way to the right, makes it darker again, and then you blend it more into the background as you move to the left. So that's how you create a shadow. And you could put a shadow anywhere you want in terms of the compass around the letters. Let's look at background. By the way, let me turn drop shadow off, and now you get to see it with or without your customized settings. Let's go to background. Background has several interesting options. First of all, you can't see the background either, because if you look here, the width is 0.9 and you have 0 for height. Let me turn the height up. Now I can see it. And we can take the width and conform it more closely to our text. Now what if I want to move it so it's slightly different from where the text is? That's what my center X and center Y coordinates are. Again, I'll hold the mouse over the numbers. I'll take my X and I can move left or right. And I can take my Y, I can move it up or down. I also have a tool here called center radius. The default is a soft radius, we would call a rounded corner rectangle. But if I want to change that, I can move to the left and I have a very sharp edged rectangle, or move to the right and I get more and more of something that begins to look like an ellipse. If I want a circle, I must change both the height and width of it. So if I take the width and leave it alone, and take the height and move it up, I can indeed do a circle. In most cases, that's probably a little too intense. So I'll move it back, and we'll change the quarter radius back. And we can adjust the size again if we want to, change the height. And so those are ways you can modify that. You can also change the opacity of the background. If I move all the way to the left, it's invisible. All the way to the right, it's dark. We can change the color of the background. But we can also change the outline color of the background. I'll click on the black color selector by outline color. Let's pick something kind of light. I'll take a pink and turn on OK. And then I also have to change the outline width beyond 0. So I'm going to drag to the right here, and now I have a black background with a pinkish border. So these are the major options to enhance your basic title when it comes to outlining the letters, adding a shadow, or putting a background behind your title text.